thing we do if this is our problem, let's say this is a test question next Wednesday. It will be. You'll have to do this on your test. What do you write down on the paper?
You add zero.
Get all the numbers.
So you make a matrix out of all of the numbers in the problem. Jabron, you're right. If you've got something missing, then we have to put a 0 in that spot. So in that second equation, there's a z missing. Everybody catch that? Okay. We have -3, 2, 1. Everybody okay with that? Now in terms of showing work, you write this down, and then you're going to make a new matrix, but you're not ready to fill that in yet because the calculator's got to do some work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the button we're going to press is RREF. But before we can press that button, we have to put everything in. So who can tell me how to put stuff in? I need to put that into my calculator. What do I press?
You get second, go to matrix,
Second,
go all the way to
matrix.
the edit section.
Go over to edit. Now, what are the dimensions of this matrix?
3 by 4, trace by 4.
By 4.
Espanol for all the bilinguals in the room.
So I put in 3 by 4. Then the calculator sets up spaces for me to start filling in these numbers. So 1, 1, 1, -3.
Where do you turn in bullies at the office?
What?
Where do you turn into people who are bullying you at the office?
Are you getting bullied?
I mean, I'm not going to snitch right now, but I would like to turn in a bully report.
A bully report?
Are you like that?
Are you about to bully me?
Because I know another way I deal with bullies. I don't think we're going to find out.
All right. What do I do once I get all the numbers entered in? Second quit. Very good, Bryce Acreage. Then I go back in the matrix. No, not edit. This time I pick math.
REF.
And all the way down to RREF. And then second matrix, enter, enter. And it gives me, oh shoot. Shoot. Did this happen for you?
No, no, no,
Yes.
no.
Yep. Yes. Me and my...
Nope, that did not happen.
You didn't?
No, I got 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 7 0 0 1.
Oh, I must have typed something in.
I got that.
I got that
You
too.
got this too?
Well, you got that?
Yeah.
All right, maybe I did something wrong.
Now, we need to talk about this. I didn't realize that this was going to happen. This is bad news. Now, no solution. Let's back up a minute. And what normally happens is what happened with Jabron. What normally happens is you get something like this.
Is mine an issue? Are we going to address what happened to me?
Now,
No?
here's what this tells me. Remember, when you set up your matrix, you had an X, a Y, and a Z column. These were the X numbers, Y numbers, Z numbers. And then there was an equals, and it equaled that. So this top row says 1X, no Y's, no Z's equal 1. That's what that top row says. So when you set up your answer, you said my X is 1. Then this says Y equals 3 and Z equals 4. Now, take a look at this bottom row. What does that bottom row say? If you think of these as the X's, Y's, and Z's, and these as the equals,
That says X, Y, Z equals 0.
it says no X's, no Y's, no Z's, add up to 1. Now wait a minute.
Hold up.
Can no X's, no Y's, and no Z's add up to 1?
No.
No.
I noticed.
No intersection.
Can we just go back a step and talk about how I got mine?
Okay, well, you just gotta double check and make sure you put the numbers in correctly. You probably left a negative out or mixed something up or something. Okay? So, I promise I'm not gonna do that to you on test day, but be aware that sometimes funky stuff happens, and you have to be able to interpret it. Okay? All right. Now, today.
Okay, you want to
Today we are going to talk about linear programming. So turn to page 47.
Programming like a computer. I like that.
Does anybody remember doing these before?
Maybe.
Well, you did. These are huge problems. Notice that the whole page is one problem. Here we go. First thing we're going to do is fill in this chart. Okay, so we have number, we have time, and we have value. We have A, B, and total. All right, so here we go. You are taking a test in which items of type A are worth 10 points and items of type B are worth 15 points. Do you have any idea where we might put
Value.
the 10 and the 15?
Value.
Value of A is 10, value of B is 15. All this table is going to do for us, kids, is organize all these numbers. This problem is full of numbers. The table's going to organize it for us. It takes 3 minutes for each type A and 6 minutes for each type B. Where am I going to put the 3 and the 6? 3 for A, 6 for B.
Oh, I figured that was first. Sorry.
The total time allowed is 60 minutes. Stop right there. The total time is 60 minutes. Where do you think I'm going to put 60?
Far right total.
Right here. Total time, 60. You may not answer more than 16 questions.
That'd be a total
The
number.
total number of questions is 16. Assuming all your answers are correct, which of course they would be, how many items of each type should you answer to get the best score? Don't we want to know how many of these and how many of these we need to answer? And won't this end up being our best score? We just need to figure out what that is. So, see all these lines written over here? They're for what we call the constraints. They're the equations that you're going to write. Now let me show you something. X plus Y has to add up to be less than or equal to 16. How do I know that? Because the problem tells me that however many problems I do, and I'm going to do some X's and some Y's, however many I do, has to be less than or equal to 16. Now I also know that every X is going to take me 3 minutes, every Y is going to take me 6 minutes, and together that has to be less than or equal to 60 minutes, because that's all the time I have. So whatever time I spend on the A's and the B's has to add up to be less than or equal to 60. Wait a minute, there's 4 lines there, and I only have 2 constraints. The other 2 we almost have we have in almost every problem. X has to be positive, Y has to be positive. Can somebody tell me why X and Y have to be positive?
Because you can't have a negative number question.
Exactly. And in almost every one of these problems, you're going to have these 2 given automatic. Now, expression to maximize. What am I trying to get the most of? Points. And how do I get points on this test? Getting right answers. And every time I get a right answer on question A,
You get 10
I get 10 points.
So what?
So 10 X's. And every time I get a right answer on a B, I get 15 Y's. Now, I understand if that's a little bit confusing to you. Think about it like this. Suppose you got 1 question A right and 2 question B's right. What would be your score? If you got 1 of these and 2 of these, how would you find your score? These are worth 10. These are worth 15. So if you got 2 of these, that would be 30 points. And 1 of these, that would be 10 more. So 40 points. You simply take however many of these you get right times 10, these times 15, and add them up. That's how you get your score. So you are trying to maximize your score.
Wait, so you said we multiply x times 3 times 10?
X times 10, just times 10.
Okay.
3 is the time. That's how many minutes it takes. Now you'll notice I have a nice little grid for you, because you're going to graph this thing one at a time. These two you don't have to worry about. I've taken care of that. How did I take care of this with my grid? Nothing's negative, it's only quadrant 1. So that's taken care of. You don't need to worry about graphing those. I did that for you. Now, we need to graph this guy. Now, my grid only goes over to 12. So I'm going to let each hash mark be worth 2. Okay? Each hash mark is going to be worth 2. When I sketch these, and I would highly recommend you do this, do it with the intercepts. If x is 0, what would y be? If x is, here, look at this purple equation. If x is 0, y would have to be 16. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 0, 16. Remember, I'm letting each hash mark be worth 2. Now, what if y is 0? What does x have to equal if y is 0? 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 16 comma 0. Now, connect those with a dot, or with a line, and shade. Now, we're either going to shade underneath in the triangle area, or we're going to shade out here. Looking at the sign in the problem, less than, that means below. So we are shading in this triangle area. So now I'll take a different color, and I'm going to graph this equation. And kids, I'm going to do it exactly the same way. I'm going to cover up one letter at a time. So if I cover up the x's, what does that tell me about y? It's 10. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 10. That's the point, 0, comma 10. That 3 marker does not work very well. I think this is a special enough equation or occasion to break out the big colored markers.
We busting out the big guns.
What?
Oh, is that an orange?
Orange.
Oh, we busting out an orange? You got a pink?
I got pink.
We got yellow, probably.
This is just awesome.
We're here balling today.
Okay, what if I cover up the y's? What does x equal? 20? So I got to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I'll connect those two dots. And where is that one shaded? It's another less than. So now I have to be underneath the purple line and underneath the blue line. So would you agree, I need something really dark. Would you agree that we are in this area right here?
Yeah.
That is the part of the picture that is underneath the purple and the blue? So now, over to the side, you are going to make a list of these 4 points. Those are called the vertices. They're like the corners of the picture. So you have 0, 10. You have 0, 0. You have 16, 0. And then I've got my mystery point. How in the heck am I gonna find my mystery point?
You gotta, you know.
What?
Look at
what
the
I
grid.
did was graph it on the calculator and let the calculator figure it out. I don't like that option.
Look at the grid.
Julia says, can you count? I mean, does it look like on your picture, does it intersect right on the corner? Because the problem is, if it's in between, you can't tell 1/2 from 1/3. Now, if it's right on a corner, you might be okay that way. That point was the intersection of these 2 lines. So what you get to do now, kids, is take these 2 lines and either substitute, eliminate, or Kramer's rule with these 2 points, or these 2 lines. So what do you think? What might work? I'm either going to use substitution or elimination or Kramer's rule to come up with that point, that point.
Elimination would be times. Elimination, just multiply by 3.
Elimination would be really fast, but certainly any method you choose is going to give you the same answer. But elimination would be fast. If I take this equation times -3, I get 3y equals 12, so y equals 4. And if y equals 4, x equals 12. If I plug 4 in. So this is the point 12, 4. Now, Julia, I don't know if it looks like that on your picture or not. It might. I can't tell on mine because I don't have a grid, but you might be able to tell that's 12, 4. Now, we're going to do lots of these problems, you guys. I know they're monsters. They take forever. There's a lot of steps. They're hard. But let's finish this first one so we at least get one of them done. How did we find the mystery point? Make a note to the side. How do you find your mystery point?
Take the original equation.
You take the equations and do either substitution, elimination, or
So what's the point of
Kramer's
finding
rule.
that mystery point? 12 and
Okay.
4?
Now, Jabron says, okay, what's the point? Now I have 4 points, all 4 corners of the picture. I want you to take each of those 4 points, keeping in mind a point is an x and a y, and plug it in your score. So in other words, if you did no X's, or no A questions and 10 B questions, what would be your score? If you did none of these and 10 of these, what would be your score? 150. So this is gonna give me a score of 150. What if I did no questions at all? Then I get a 0. What if I did 16 of the first kind and none of the second? 160. And what if I did 12 of the first kind and 4 of the second?
180.
180. Now, what was the goal of the problem?
How many A's?
Best score. So how many of what kind am I going to do to get the best score? 12 A problems and 4 B problems. The 4 corners of the picture, when you graph your equations and you shape, the 4 corners of the picture will always give you the maximum answer and the minimum answer. So for us, the maximum score is 180, and obviously, what's the minimum score? 0. If you don't do any questions, you're not going to get any points.
Question. This is gonna be a test question, right?
This will be a test question, yes.
How many, are you gonna throw more than one of these at us?
No, I don't think so. Depends on if you're cooperative and nice, which of course you always are. All right, backside. Backside, here we go. Question number 2. We are not going to get this one finished, but let's at least get it started. Now, everything is all set up for you. You do not have to do anything in a particular order. So as you're looking at the problem, what strikes you? Do you see, as you read the problem, do you see any place to put in anything here? Do you see, have any ideas about where I can put anything into the problem? Or I need an expression to maximize, and I need some constraints. Do you see any of that? 120, let me see, where'd you get 120? A company to stay in business, it must produce at least 10 motorcycles each month, but it can't produce more than 60 motorcycles. The total cannot exceed 160. The profit on motorcycles by number. Okay. I can put the profits in. The profit on a motorcycle is $134 and $20 on a bicycle. So my maximum will be my profit, and my profit will be 134. Okay, I better put X and Y in here. Those are my variables. I'm going to make X motorcycles and Y bicycles. So 134X plus 20Y is going to be my profit. Very good. By the way, I don't graph that, do I? What do I end up doing with that? Once we find the corners, we're going to draw a new picture, and we're going to have new corners. But once we have new corners, then we'll plug those into this, and the biggest one wins. Most profit. Okay, very good. Does anybody see anything else that could go somewhere? What?
60.
Okay, we got a 60, and it says, to stay in business, it must produce at least 10 motorcycles, but less than 60 motorcycles. So the number of motorcycles has to be between 10 and 60. Would you agree with that? Notice I wrote a compound inequality. I said X has to be bigger than 10, but less than 60. Do I have a similar thing for Y? Okay, it just says I have to have less than 120. So my y's are less than or equal to 120.
But again, go over 160.
The total cannot be more, so the total number cannot be more than 160. The total number of vehicles cannot be more than 160. Okay, I've organized all the numbers in the problem. So now let's write our equations that we're gonna graph. Notice I left you only 3 blanks this time.
4.
There should be 4, yeah. So x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0. Would you agree with me? Can't make negative bicycles. And then, what's that top one say? X plus y less than or equal to 160. And we're actually going to graph these two. We got to make sure that our y's and x's are in the appropriate range. So we're actually going to graph all this. These two are given pretty much, so you don't necessarily have to write them down. And again, I know this is hard. I do not expect you to be able to do this all by yourself yet.
So, I would say, are you gonna help us with this?
At some point you will, but not yet. All right, let's graph it. Okay, now wait, these are pretty big numbers, kids. So maybe this time we should let our scale be 10s, maybe? Because there's no way I can get 160 on my picture unless I make the scale different, so I'm going to make it 10. Okay, so let's graph this one. I will graph this one in purple. So if I cover up the x, it says y is 160, so I got to count up 16. That's actually 160. And then if y is 0, x would also be 160. You may need to extend your line a little bit. You can do that, extend your line. Oh, I missed. I am so bad at drawing these straight lines. Where's that shaded? Below. So we are shaded below. So all this. How about this one? Any ideas what that looks like? X is between 10 and 60. So this is 10 right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 60 right here. So X is between those two marks. This is 10 and this is 60. And X has to be between there. So basically, I just have a vertical bar that says whatever points you're going to use have to be in between 10 and 60. They have to be inside this red space. I think we'll stop there, and we will definitely pick this up again on tomorrow. Tonight's homework, in your practice packet, you have have a linear programming worksheet. This is the same package you had the last couple nights. Just try problems 1 and 2. Try. Problems 1 and 2. That's it. Give them a shot. Can you turn that off, Tyler, and hand that to me?